Hello and welcome to another Wednesday edition of Through the Table here on Full Time Sport Network. Tonight we will tackle the AFC North and a little bit of news and guys not signing their tenure. So we'll talk and we'll discuss that right now. Hello and welcome again. I am Britt Smill. This is Full Time Sport Network through the table, bringing you the NFL through Full Time Sport Network. Thank you for joining us. I will now bring in my friend Donnie
Oh,
Shoemaker.
Britt.
How you doing, bud?
Good. How about yourself?
Oh, hey, you know what? Life is good, man.
That's good.
Life is good. Baby just turned 5 months.
Dang, it's already been
A
5 months.
few days ago. Yeah,
Time just flies, man.
yeah. I mean, I pulled him up, but like he almost sat up for like a whole minute by
Yeah.
himself, like keeping himself balanced there.
Getting tummy time in.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Word.
Sometimes it's a chore, like he does not like it
Yeah.
sometimes, man. Even if I'm
It's,
laying him on my chest and he'll start, talking and screaming and like looking at me, in my face, like, all right, buddy, you are not enjoying this. I don't
yeah.
know why. Because he wants to like look around and stuff, and
Yeah.
he feels if he's on his stomach. I assume I'm not trying to tell you how my boy feels. Only he
Yeah.
can do that, but he can't because he's 5 months.
Yeah. I feel you.
Um, but yeah, it seems like he does it. We'll lay him flat on the ground sometimes. He seems to enjoy that a little bit more because then I can put like stuff in front of him.
Yeah.
Or like he's laying on me, I really can't put anything in front of him, and
Like he's like, I love you, Dad, but
he doesn't want to
other
sit there
stuff
and
too.
just like talk to me and be in my face. So
Yeah.
you know, put him there. I'll face him while watching TV, and he can play with his. He likes now stuff that's crumpling, so he's always trying to
Oh yeah.
grab the wipes
Yeah.
because it's all crunkly.
Yeah. I know
It's
what you
like
mean.
you can't have that, bud. Yes, and then he wants to hold the bottle by himself now, and like he's
Yeah.
like getting milk in his nose or formula in his nose because he's not paying attention. He's looking at me, going like, "Look, Dad." Boom. And then he's like, he's angry. I'm like, well, you're the
Don't do
one that
that.
put it in your eye, bud.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me help you. Because sometimes he'll yell at me if I like put the pacifier in his mouth or put the bottle or something. He'll be like, he'll take it out. And then he'll try to put it in himself and yell at me because it didn't work. All right, enough about me. Man, the NFL, dude, we're getting closer and closer.
Yeah. It's
Big
two
day on
two
the
weeks.
yeah, big day on the calendar just passed. Guy, and I guess we'll just lead off with this, man. Some big names not signing their franchise
Yeah.
tag tenure.
Yeah.
First of all, before we talk about the specific guys and whatnot, and I know every situation is different, but on a overall thing, how do you feel in just a watered down, if it wasn't a vacuum, guys not signing the franchise tag tenure?
It's hard to say. Like you said, it's a case to case basis. I understand if you're a big name, it's hard signing a franchise tag because you think, man, I could be making more money. At the same time, they do have you locked in for those years, regardless. So it's just kind of like I understand, but I feel like it's more of a risk sitting out. Just make the money. If you and I get it, stuff could happen. You could get hurt, but more times than not, if you sit out for a year, you're probably not coming back in the same shape. If you come back to that skill level,
Yeah,
it's I mean, it's different when you get injured and you're out because you have the determination to come back. You want to come back. But if you say, I'm not happy here, and I get it. Sometimes you don't agree with the coaching. Sometimes you don't believe, you think you should be making more money. But everybody's got to put in their dues, you know?
Right. Cause like kind of here's where I am for, and like we talked about, it's situation, man. The thing is, you signed an NFL player contract.
Yeah.
Inside the rules of signing this NFL player contract, you are well aware that NFL rules dictate and allow a team to franchise tag one player, and you get paid. What is it? 3%, top 3% at that position, I think.
Yeah. Something, I mean, you're not making bad money.
Good money, but I get it. There's no security
You
in
only,
that
yeah,
franchise
you
tag
got one
because
year.
it's just for that year. And then my thing is, well, you don't like it? Go to the NFLPA, tell them to look into it and changing it, or seek out information and know a little and understand more about what this franchise tag is. It it
You
does
really think they're going
sometimes
to
get
change the
used.
rules
It does
on that?
sometimes get used, I believe, in the way it was not intended.
I do. I know what you mean. Like, I do think
Because
some
I think it was
take
really
advantage of it.
I think it was really intended for, like, if you're in a serious negotiation within a player and
Yeah.
you guys want to come to an agreement and both sides are quite confident, they'll come to an agreement. They just won't get the deal done in the deadline. Here's the franchise tag. It gives us more time. You're going to get paid 3%, top 3%, I think it is, at your position,
Yeah.
while we work on and mesh out the long-term deal.
Yeah.
That
I mean, do
was
you really feel like they
that's
use it
the
like
intent.
that, or it's
Oh,
like
hell
I
no.
believe, I kind of believe
I
in
know
you.
he going to dip. No, what it
It's
is,
like
I
so.
know he's going to dip,
Yeah.
but we can't afford to lose him. We have to get something for him.
Yeah.
So they try to do that sign and trade stuff. So hey, this with a franchise tag, hey, this gives you 2 years.
I feel if you're going to
Two
franchise tag him for
years
2 years, that's a
to
slap in
try to
the
move
face.
him. Well, what that shows me is you're trying to move that player and you can't move him at that cost. And you're trying to get something for him, but
That, yeah.
nobody will meet your demand, and people use the franchise tag to kind of try to buy him more time to work out deals in order to move him
Yeah.
so they can get something in return instead of him living on a free when his contract runs out.
I mean,
That's not the intention of
yeah,
the
yes and no.
franchise tag.
I think that though. I think it kind of if you're gonna franchise tag him for 2 years, obviously, yeah,
Back to
like you
back.
said, you maybe trying to get something from him
It
or
should
for
take
him,
you 2 years to mesh out
but it
a
kind of feels like
contract.
the player. I think that okay, they sort of believe in me, but not enough to actually give me a real contract.
Yeah.
And
Yes, that
one
too.
year, maybe I could see them being like, okay, I understand. Maybe I wasn't producing that first year. Maybe I started coming on my end of my sophomore year. They need to see, another season of me before I get that
Maybe I was rubbing
contract.
somebody the wrong way that
Yeah.
we didn't like.
But 2 years, that's just either, yeah, like you said, they're looking to trade them and get big money, or they don't want to lose them because they don't have anything better right now, but they don't want to
Buy
get
him
a
time to look
contract.
for to buy him a little bit of time to find a
So
replacement because they don't want that guy.
and then at the same time, you see these players get big contracts before their 3 years are even up, and so like I can understand that point of view too. Like
That's
money's
what a
always
franchise
going
does
up
when
for
they
these
really want.
contracts.
But that's what a franchise does when they really want that guy. They'll re-sign him early.
Yeah, I know, and I get it. That doesn't happen too often. It's but at the same time, like that's how they're looking at it as, and I get it. It's just, but at the same time, all these contracts just get bigger and bigger and bigger. And so it's just like I get it. They want to make their money because life expectancy is 3.5 years in the NFL. So you want to get that big contract that could set you up for the rest of your life.
And you want to put some years on the contract to give
Yeah.
you time to rehabilitate and get back to 100% while under contract.
Uh,
Because if you're rehabilitating and trying to get better, not under contract, and then you're healthy, it's like now everybody's talking about, oh, the
yeah.
risk of signing this guy. When if he was on a team, got healthy, and then got back to playing, the
Mhm.
market is fine for this guy.
No,
But if
definitely.
he's not playing for a team, and when he gets healthy, if he can't hit the pitch right away, there's hesitation from clubs to sign the guy because they don't know how he's going to react when he steps on the field for the first time, because that's the
No.
truth. You
Yeah.
have no idea. So these guys want to make sure when if they get injured, when they come back from injury, they still have a year or two
No,
where
definitely.
they can do something.
It's the timing too. I really do think they should take away 1 year of the tag. You can franchise and tag them one time. 2 years. You're telling me by year 6, you think this player is going to be there at their elite status, the,
You're
the, the
bad at your
height,
job. You
the
have
height of
no
their
clue
career?
what you're doing if it's taking you this long to make a decision on a player. You
But
took too
some
long.
people get shafted like that. You know what
You
I'm saying?
you're
It's
behind
like,
you're behind the 8 ball, man.
and that's
You don't
unfortunate.
already
And I
know?
think that's the thing is you can't dictate what somebody does or doesn't know. Maybe they know that they would, they're an asset, and you don't want to give them away, but you want to go a different direction because you're not happy with them for a personal reason or something like that. And like I said, like you're gonna know whether a player's got, the status of his ability is gonna be way before
You
year
should.
6.
You should
So,
know.
so you know what I'm saying?
You should know. Yes.
Some people, I mean, that's their whole career.
Mhm.
And so it's just like as a player, that's a scary thing because
Mhm.
if you're not good enough to get those big contracts before that franchise tag, I
Right.
mean, that could potentially be the end of your career.
Let me ask you this, because there's a common denominator into these guys that we're about to discuss. Do you think it has something to do with the position that these guys play?
Talking about like running backs,
Yep.
um,
Do you think that position is being devalued a bit?
definitely. I mean, we're pass heavy. It's a pass heavy game. You see all these. I mean, the class of wide receiver that's coming out of the last several years
And the
is
Chiefs are doing
phenomenal.
what they're doing with who's running the ball
And
for
the
them? No
quarterback, yeah,
offense,
the quarterback runs the ball.
no offense to is it Hines?
From is he playing on Indianapolis?
Oh, no, hyphen Hines. I
Okay.
forget the first part of the running back. I don't know if he's still the running back, but like, I mean, come on, it's not a big name running back.
And that's the thing too is a lot of teams are tandem running backs, or these quarterbacks are running the ball now.
So
Uh,
if you need money, why are you gonna put it into your running back when
and that's a scary position to put money into because they're getting so much damage every game. I mean,
and it
it's
seems like
easy to get hurt at that position.
yeah, and it seems like the teams that have the really really good running backs, they're not doing so good.
They do good to a certain point, but yeah, you can't win. You can't win a Super Bowl just with a running back.
So it seems like that position maybe be being being devalued because it seems like the next guy is producing
I mean, as long as you're getting your first
just
downs. I
fine.
mean, I don't need you to bust out a 50-yard run. I just need the
Right,
guy to
that's
get
what I'm
past the first
saying.
yard line.
So like you really gonna pay the running back when you can go get a guy who can do exactly what you're talking about, and he's gonna be a hell of a lot cheaper than your buster.
Definitely.
So
You know,
and you
I
can
think the
get
only
because
reason
you need like 3 wide receivers today.
you do.
Like
And
you
really, two wide receivers and a solid tight end. I
and
think the
they
tight
want
end
money.
position, I mean, it has been underrated. I
And
think just in the past like 5, 6 years, you really see like these tight ends really getting their dues because they're not just blocking anymore. The pass catchers. So it's just like seeing that, and it's just um, the running position. I think the money that they do make is based on the contracts that from the previous guy. Realistically, if you
the
can pay,
next guy always makes more.
yeah, but I think that is Yeah, I would see that plateau before any other position. I feel like just because of the fact the way the game's played. I mean, and I don't really see it going back to a run heavy game. Especially
That was
these
my
you
well, that
know.
wasn't my football because I mean my Buffalo Bills in the 90s under Jim Kelly and with Thurman Thomas, Andre Reed, that group, man, uh, we were doing what the offenses are doing now.
I mean, you're
Like
right.
the K gun was ahead of its time, but this was in a time, and I always reference this, and my team wasn't even really like this. So it's funny that I say things. I'm old school, man. 3 yards in a cloud of dust, dude. Get you a good running back who can tote
Yeah.
the rock, 30 carries a game. Nobody's carried the ball 30
Well,
times
Josh
a game
Jacobson.
anymore. Well, okay, these are running backs I love.
Yeah,
Those
Josh
guys,
Jacobs and Derrick Henry,
those
I think,
guys
are in a
do.
class of their own.
Now it's like, let's just find 30 touches for him. Just
Yeah,
find a way to get him the ball.
you have to be able to catch the ball too
Which
as a
I'm
running
fine.
back.
Yes, find a way to get your running back the ball.
Yeah,
But I want him to carry it 30 times.
yeah,
Like we're talking then close to 40 touches. Now that running back
yeah.
should get paid.
He should, but
And
that's
he should get paid. But no, but it doesn't seem like nobody in the NFL wants to do that. They want
like,
the
yeah,
two running backs to,
definitely.
and you get it because there's this whole thing about rotation in the NFL. I mean, like a 3 down guy, there's no 3 down guys no more. They're being rotated. What's the situation? Move things around. This guy comes off. These guys go in.
Probably three in the NFL. I
Right.
can positively say we're actually going to talk about one of
And
them today.
this is both sides of the ball too.
Yeah,
Like even like especially defensive linemen, nobody's playing all 4 downs. Nobody's
no, that's true.
playing like 3 downs unless like, you know, you're the stud
Yeah,
and there's no depth. In teams with
that's true.
depth, even the studs are getting rotated.
Yeah, I mean, it helps with game flow. I mean, it helps
Oh,
with
it
your game
does when you're at
flow.
the end of the game. Trust at the end of
Winded,
the game, they're not
yeah.
making those.
Because at the end of the game, that's
Studs
just pure
aren't getting.
determination. That's the player determination. You're both teams are physically drained. I mean, even after the half, I mean, 30 minutes, whatever time you get to run in there in 30
Oh,
minutes,
dude, you're
still
taking
out.
off your pads, dude.
It's,
When
yeah,
you get
you're
that long
tired
two
already.
down,
Um,
like,
and
dude,
I think it's the
man.
rule setting too. Like, the quarterback has all these rules to protect them now. So they have more time to throw. And it's easier for they're less
And
worried
they're
about.
running the defense ragged,
Yeah.
man.
I mean, the game's built to protect the quarterback now, and I understand. You getting hit with a 300-pound guy. I understand the reasoning for it, but at the same time, we've moved the NFL to a pass-heavy game.
And
So
with all the running that these quarterbacks are being asked to do, also,
yeah,
like, you got to protect them, but it's not like these quarterbacks, not all of them are like the smallest dudes on the field anymore.
no, yeah, they're pretty big.
Like some of these quarterbacks are big boys, dude. So like, I mean, it's a lot, some like you can equate it to some like um uh political programs and stuff. Like when they were introduced, there was a time for that
Yeah.
where it was needed, but like it's like you're past that now. Like we really don't need all this. It's many flags that come out to protect the quarterback.
I
We
mean, yeah,
really don't need all of
we're
it
not going back.
anymore.
It's
Oh,
not,
oh, dude, no.
you
You
know,
can't. No, there is no going back.
yeah. So
There's
it's
a
just
lot of money in the quarterback position, but these guys are running more,
they. I
and
mean, yeah, they're not just sitting in the pocket. It's
and
not,
referees get a little flag happy when the quarterback gets hit
yeah, they do.
because they know the league doesn't like it.
No, they're getting told you need to almost
Yeah,
like protect the
yeah,
quarterback. Any kind of penalty that needs to be called
yeah.
because we're trying
Because
to
these
tell
are
the defensive
league
line this
officials.
isn't acceptable.
These officials work for the league.
Yeah,
We all know the song and dance that we get from the league.
You don't
what they talk
bite the
about.
hand that feeds you, man.
So they no, they do not. The league does not like the quarterback getting hit,
No.
and it is reflected in the
Well, because these are the
officiating.
guys these franchises are paying tons of money to, and they run the league. So of course they're going to be like, protect my bell cow,
That's
man.
my guy, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. So it's all understandable, but all right, man. First, dude. First up, I want to talk some Saquon Saquon Barkley, man. Um, it is him and obviously him and the Giants were unable to reach a deal coming deadline day. This was really not a surprise because I mean it's been uh reported for days that they were not expected to reach an agreement. Since then, when it has come out, you're seeing a lot of Saquon Barkley mulling over, to use the words of some title writers of articles, pulling a Le'Veon Bell and sitting out the year. First of all, you have commented before on sitting out, how you feel about that. It is a big, big risk sitting out.
Yeah,
Um,
it is.
for
Especially as a running back. Especially
for
as a running back.
first of all, from the Giants' perspective, deadline has passed. He has not signed the tenure. There are reports that your running back is thinking about sitting out. Do you pick up the papers that y'all had from your last meeting and go back over it and see what he's asking for? So
I mean, do you know what he's
he
asking for? Have they mentioned it? It's
I'm
obviously more money. I mean, that's bottom line what it always is, more money. Um,
but these meetings that they're having, both sides know what the other side is looking for.
Truthfully, I thought they were going to come to agreement because that's honestly, I mean, up until recently, it was kind of like a feeling like they were going to take a pay cut because the Giants said at the end of last year that in order to keep both Daniel Jones and Saquon, they would both have to take a pay cut.
And
And,
one would have to be tagged.
and I understand like if I'm the Giants, I've given this gentleman 4 years now of my time, and he's only produced one of those years. Not even like I mean, you could say he was one of the workhorses last year. I mean, he finished pretty high in the rankings, but
Mhm.
you've given him all this time, and this is kind of a slap in the face. I feel not towards Barkley, but towards the Giants organization because they've given him a lot of time, and he really, like I said, wasn't producing. And I get it, you want to make that money, but at the same time, look at this organization that's done this for you. They could have easily just cut you a long time ago and just been done with you, but they didn't. And at this time, I think you need to suck it up because, like you said, I'm not a fan of sitting out, especially at that position at this current time. Like, I the Giants haven't had a winning season in quite some time. So, like, if I'm the Giants, yeah, of course I want to win. But realistically, I'm probably not going to make it to the playoffs regardless whether Barkley's there or not this year. I mean, you got the Eagles and to contend with they're gonna win that division. I doubt they may, and then I doubt the Giants would make a wild card spot. So he really needs to think about his choices in the future. He's for in the NFL that he could have. I would say play the year and get that money, and then next year, if you're the kind of running back that you have the potential to see, coming out of college, you were always a big fan of him, and he just didn't produce. Maybe he has the talent in there. Um, then you can show the case that this year and work towards next year.
How much? Because I mean, he's already on the books for 10. Um,
For a year, I mean, that's almost $1
so
million a game. That's like 750,000 a game, right?
right.
Pretty
So I
much.
mean, like
You
teams don't
know,
want
as a
teams
normal
aren't
person,
going to pay more than
I'll
10.
just say shut up and go run the ball. I mean, because that's over 500,000 a game. You know what I'm saying? I mean, yeah. And then you're probably going to get some if you do make it to the playoffs. Of course, there's like incentives. Of course, uh, that's a lot of money to pass up. That's life changing money. Whether you get signed again, that's enough money to invest that you'd be okay the rest of your life.
Right, he's already making 10. That's what he
No,
was on the books for this year.
yeah,
$10 million.
seems.
Um, what they're throwing out now, um, it's probably around 10.
Is it the longevity he's looking for? Like
Oh,
he,
it's definitely years. Like that's
which I can understand, but and I'm not a Barkley fan, and I can even say like he really did like have some flash last year, and so like building on this coming up, and I understand he was injured, one of those years. Um, if you feel confident in yourself, I mean, it's I get it, it's risk reward, but it's just like sitting out I don't feel is the right thing to do. It never works. It's been proven not to work. Nobody's ever sat out a year and just come back and just like blazed it, I mean, unless they were injured and so I think it's a mistake. And I think the Giants have given him enough support over these last years that he should be able to say, okay, this franchise has had my back. And you don't see that because I get it. This is a business, but you got to think it as a business. You got take emotion out of business. I understand that, but there's a lot of teams that would have just said, okay, you're hurt, peace out. I'm not going to deal with you. You haven't
hmm
shown us anything. Like, nah, I don't care. I don't care how high we drafted you. I don't care how good you were going to be. We can sell you high if everybody thinks you're really that good right now, um, and they didn't. I mean, the Giants have a lot of other problems. They need wide receivers and stuff like that. So, like, maybe that's what they're thinking. We need to diversify our team. You can't just rely on two people because Daniel Jones isn't like he's not bad, but he's not like him and Saquon Barkley aren't going to win you the Super Bowl
hmm
alone.
Right. Um. Yeah. So talking possibly sitting out.
It's a
Saquon
dangerous game.
Barkley.
It's a dangerous game. You could be that one guy who actually does come back and do it, but I mean, also, how does that look to other teams, man? If you're not willing to go play after they've given you all that support, why is another team going to want to pick you up?
Right.
Because there's a lot to play. There's a lot to be said about cohesion and building with a team and showing everybody else, even if you don't. I mean, because that's why they do training camps. Even if you don't get signed by that team and you hit the waiver wire, other teams are looking at your game tapes. They're talking to the coaching staffs, like, "Hey, how does this guy interact with other players and stuff like that?" There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. And if you're somebody that people kind of talk trash about your character, then I mean that's going to look bad. I don't care how good you are. Look at Antonio Brown. You know, for years he was the best wide receiver, and look at him. I mean, he just like threw away his career with bad actions.
hmm Yeah. Next up on the list, Josh Jacobs. He and the Oakland Raiders have also failed to reach a long-term agreement. Josh Jacobs, just like
He wants that money.
Saquon Barkley, refused to sign his just slightly over $10 million tenure. Um, Now I don't know if he'll sit out, but is he's a no-show at camp as far as I knew.
Hmm,
Uh,
that's disappointing. Um,
so
that's a different case, though. I don't believe he should sit out, but I do understand his point because he's one of the few actual like workhorses. I mean, they were handing him the ball 30 plus times a game for the last 2 years. You know,
mhm,
and And honestly, they got the best wide receiving core almost in the league right now.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
it looks like Josh Jacobs will no show for uh training camp. Um,
that's
if you're
disappointing,
Vegas,
man.
are
I really
you?
like that cat.
No, 'cause we didn't ask this about the Giants because, well, they have a lot going on. But as a Vegas fan, are you worried?
I would be. I mean, because this was supposed to be maybe your year to finally like move in the right direction. Stop getting just those 500. Almost getting to the playoffs every year. Everybody was like, Carr's the problem, and they got rid of him. And yeah, like we said last time, Garoppolo's pretty much even, but maybe the different personalities. I mean, Garoppolo's actually been much further in the playoff run than Carr ever got. He's had different mentors. He's played on teams, very successful teams.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, you almost had a very like scary under the radar team right there, and Jacobs was the pinnacle of that. I really do believe that, and I mean, as a Raiders fan, I would be a little nervous about that. I'm a little surprised that he's doing that, and I get it. He deserves a bigger contract. If I was the Raiders, I get it. It's probably cap because there's no reason why he shouldn't get a bigger contract. As much as they've used him, as much as he's performed, I can understand the cap with
He
Devontae.
deserves a contract. Over 1,600 yards, man.
I know
Over
it's
20,000, over 2,000 all-purpose yards,
in two
man.
years. In 2 years, he's only been in the league for 2 years. You know what I'm saying?
Like,
And
uh,
so that's crazy to me. I get it, but that guy deserves a contract. But I get you also have some heavy hitters on your team that probably took up a lot of money to convince.
no, he's been in for 4, but
4?
yeah, he's at the end of his rookie deal. They tried to franchise tag him.
I thought for sure 3 years at most.
Yeah, that's why they're trying to franchise tag him. His rookie
Okay.
deal's up.
Well, then still that's pretty good. But I mean, oh well, his second year was kind of eh. They struggled because the line was not holding up. That's what it
Right.
was because he was giving the ball a lot, and it was like 2 yards a carry. But overall, he's one of the best running backs in the league. Regardless of what I said before,
You should have been able to make a deal with him.
he should have
Like,
because any other team would
come
be
on.
glad to sign him as for a contract.
No, dude.
And I get it. Maybe they are trying to just sell him high because they're thinking, But the truth is, you're not going to be able to replace him.
No,
So
no. I think this is a big, big.
that's a risk the Raiders are playing, I think.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I think that's a mistake on their part. I also think it's a mistake on his part. I mean, I don't care how good you are. You need to show up and just play because, I mean, sitting out a year is just bad all around. It's just a bad move
Yeah.
because there's always going to be somebody younger and better that's going to come up. Eventually, your time in the sun fades. I'm sorry, it happens to everybody. Um, and I'm not them. I'm not making that kind of money. Like that seems like so much money to me. And I get it. $10 million in the grand scheme of a lifetime isn't that much, but that's enough to if you're smart with your money that you can really do something. And so it's just like for me when they're like, we're gonna sit out and I'm gonna miss, and do all that stuff. I don't want to sign this new contract. It's just it seems. I mean, it's a 1 year deal. I get it, but it's just I don't know, man. Does it benefits? I don't. It just seems weird to me to do that, and it looks bad on you, in my opinion.
It does. Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
I
And
mean, would you sit out? Do you think it's a smart move to sit out? I mean, because you're not getting the same kind of training. You can run and do all these trainings you can, but there's different. When you're getting hit, I mean, you got to build up to that. That's why there's training camps. You can't just go out there, and start running into dudes and just expect you to be just as good if you sat out a whole year.
right.
I mean, guys are rusty when they sit out for 6 games on suspensions and stuff like that when they come back. I don't know. I mean, I can't tell those people what to do. I just think it's a mistake. But I think it's a mistake by the Raiders not to sign a contract. Even if you say, okay, we can't pay you that much money this year, but we can pay you bigger the next couple years, giving them that contract, giving them some longevity.
Right. Yep. Yeah. And so, yeah. And, because Tony Pollard, he was in the same situation. He signed his franchise tenure.
I think that's a smart move.
I think that was smart
That was a smart
too.
move for him because he really stepped up last year.
And he, I mean, I think he deserved
He
a
deserved a
contract.
contract.
I don't think he deserved to be tagged. Um,
Do you think they'll give him a contract next year? Because I mean,
he
you would
should.
think, right? Because with them letting Zeke go, that opened up the cap. I mean, that opened a fair amount of money for the cap to be used. You know, and he's
Right,
pretty much held that team down the last 2 years. Coming out the end of 2 seasons ago, he was really putting it on. Last season, he carried the team as far as the running back position goes.
right, yeah. So I mean,
That's a surprise because Jerry usually like finds a way to sign these guys. He really does. Like if you're a Cowboy and Jerry likes you, you're gonna get the money you want, regardless of how he has to make that deal. I mean, that's why Zeke stuck around for those last couple of years because of how big his contract was.
right, yeah. I mean, because through July and August, uh, Jacobs, Barkley, they'll because they're unsigned. There's no penalty for them, but they're looking at losing like what 560,000 per game because you're not getting a game check.
You know what I'm saying? That just seems crazy to me, man.
Right.
I mean, literally, you could buy a house with that one check, with one game for 60 minutes worth of
Right.
your time. That's a house.
Yeah. So possibly by Labor Day, you know, Barkley and Jacobs will be um in uniform.
I mean, they should be. Barkley, especially. I don't agree with it, but I could understand more Jacobs sitting out. I think it's a mistake, but I can understand it. Barkley, I think he just needs to shut up and sign the paper. Like, I mean, half a season worth of your supposed potential isn't enough for you to
Right.
to act like this.
Yeah. And I mean, because of injuries,
Yeah,
especially with these guys, and the way the running backs being looked at, like you're saying, I don't think sitting out a year really makes a whole lot of sense.
yeah.
I think by the time these penalties start coming in and you start losing money, I think you're showing up.
Because not only are you losing money, you're also sitting around for a year spending money on training, outside training. You know,
Right,
you still got bills to pay. And most of these guys don't just say, I'm going to live a simple life when they make this money. They go out and spend all this money on lavish stuff, and that stuff costs money to maintain.
right. Yeah,
I
I mean,
mean, they're in a lifestyle now that, like, they have to have that kind of money in order to, like I said, maintain. So it's just, I don't know. I think that's a dumb move. Now, do you think they franchised Pollard because you think they're gonna, depending on how the Cowboy season goes, they're gonna be getting rid of Dak, or I want to say McCarthy, but I really don't. I don't feel like he should. He's improved the Cowboys over the last couple of years. I don't think that. I really do think it's Dak that's holding the Cowboys back, truthfully. And so, do you think they're trying to like see how that goes?
well, here's the thing, man. Is it possible? possible, but maybe McCarthy's not sold quite on Pollard. Maybe McCarthy has another running back in mind and they want to see if they be able to grab him, or do there could be the possibility that they want to be like, let me see it again.
Yeah. Well,
It's
my
just a
thing
flash
is,
in the
when
pan
McCarthy
because
took over, Pollard's games picked up.
I agree.
I
I
mean, he
agree.
was used much more. I mean, Zeke sat on the bench pretty much right when McCarthy took over, and he pretty much rode the bench the the remainder of his time in Dallas.
Right.
So to say he doesn't believe him, it seems kind of hard for me to believe that. But I do understand. Last year was his first year, like really like giving the keys to the kingdom. So I understand like them wanting to see another year.
Mhm.
You know, I don't know, man. The cap opened up. I was gonna say maybe they want more cap room next year to see like where things go with Dak, but they
Right.
opened up a lot of space this year. But of course, you also got to think they're going to try to re-sign CeeDee Lamb. That's coming up. That's got to be coming up next year. And that guy is too good to be franchise tagged. Um, and he plays at a harder position,
Right.
stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So we'll keep an eye on those guys. I wouldn't expect us to have another conversation about these guys until come Labor Day because we're expecting them to sit out. We're expecting them not to be around. So, you know, we covered it now. So when it comes around Labor Day, when, fines and penalties start coming in, we'll see if they show up or not. Um, uh, the AFC North, let's transition and talk about them real quick. This is a division that um, has been a staple in the AFC for quite some time. Um, Good, tough division, but lately, there's been a couple teams that haven't been real great and trying to figure out the next thing. But I mean, we'll first start with, the good Cincinnati Bengals, man.
So
Uh,
good.
this is a freaking good team. I mean, they're what? Yeah, they're odds-on favorite by like a good bit to win this division.
Oh,
Um,
I believe that, man.
I'm pretty sure it was. I mean,
I mean, I think everybody. I, I want to say I don't think people hold the Ravens in as high as esteem as they were the last couple of years. I mean, they were really rooting for the Ravens there for quite some time.
oh, and very quickly it's gone.
I mean,
I don't see there's much Baltimore can do to get back in control.
I think yeah, like I said, I think
It's just
Cincinnati is is definitely like a Super Bowl contender kind of team. You know,
right, yeah. I mean, this is a good team. Last year,
I think they got a lot of weapons.
yeah, they do. Going down the stretch, dude, they were putting up 29 points a game last season. I mean, they second straight AFC Championship game. Um, this Joe Burrow,
Yeah.
what else he had to say? I mean,
Joe,
this
he
guy,
wants it, man. He wants that ring.
he he's
I think he'll get one. I really do. I really do.
he
I think he's
they're
gonna.
good. I know they had some early concerns about the cap, but never no fear. Cincinnati Bengal fan
Yeah,
Joe Mixon, Jamar Chase, um, T
you got T
Higgins,
Higgins.
Tyler
Yeah, you got great
Boyd,
wide receivers. You know,
able to bring them
even
all
Boyd's
back.
yeah,
Um, Lost Hurst, their tight end,
yeah.
but they picked up Smith Jr., ex Minnesota Viking. Um, they're a big contender, not just to win this division, but to win the conference and have a shot at winning the league.
Yeah.
Burrow is a second behind Mahomes to
I was gonna say if there's anybody
for
that's
the
gonna be
MVP.
Chiefs, it's gonna
Yeah,
be Cincinnati.
he He threw for almost 4,500 yards last year, 40 touchdowns, 12 picks. I mean, he's got it. This offense has got it. The defense, the defense is good. Fifth fewest points
Yeah.
in the league, or yeah, in the league. I mean, facing the Ravens, the Bills, the Chiefs, average of 16.7 points a game.
And that's pretty impressive holding the Chiefs down to that, you know.
Yeah,
And the Bills, man, I know they're your favorite team, but
it's a offense that can put points on the
I
board.
know. I don't believe in
And
Allen, bro. I think
you
he's
hold
too
them
hot. I think he's
you
too hot headed.
you hold them on the 20, under 20.
Yeah,
That's a freaking good defense.
yeah.
Even in the playoffs, right around 20 points a game. That's a game it puts with this offense. If you're only giving up around 20 a game, little more, little less, that offense is quite capable
No,
of
definitely. You
matching
know,
that and taking the game. So I mean, the
and
Bengals have a they look good. I like them to win this division.
I would think so. Yeah. I mean, Chase is one of my favorite wide receivers. I think he's definitely
Hmm.
top three, if not two. And then Mixon's like one of those guys that I'm not saying he's a workhorse, but he's definitely like almost there. He's definitely top five running back, I think. Um,
He's effective, enough
and and, and P
effective
Ryan,
enough.
they got rid of P Ryan, so I mean, he's not going to have like that solid second like he had last year. But I mean, he's not one to shy away. I mean, you can use Mixon all three downs if you need to, and they do it quite well. Higgins, solid second wide receiver, top seven, top 10 wide receiver in the league.
Hmm.
And Boyd's not really a bad third.
Mm. Nope.
He's. I
And
mean,
you
if
were able
he
to
was our third wide receiver, I wouldn't be complaining at all about that.
right.
They know how to spread the ball around. Plus, Joe Burrow, I mean, he isn't a slow guy. He's one of those running quarterbacks. And like you said, they're a solid team, man.
Yeah, and that defense, man. I talk about being old school, 3 yards in the cloud of dust, but like I said, I'm old school. Defense wins championships.
It definitely does. Defense win
Uh,
games.
the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah,
This is a franchise that, woof, just a couple years ago, teetering on, being down there where the Steelers are. Like what's happening to the
bro.
Steelers is what we
Baltimore.
thought would happen to Baltimore.
Yeah,
And they're decent. I mean, 10-7 last year.
yeah.
Uh,
I'm just not. I'm not impressed with Baltimore. I'm not a Lamar Jackson fan. You know
Lamar
this.
Jackson missed 5 games, and the Ravens still managed to win 10 games.
You know,
That that's pretty decent.
I'm
I
not
mean,
saying it's. I mean, 10 games is nothing to cry about. I don't like that. I just don't feel like they got it.
and you
They
can't
have
beat
good players.
Cincinnati.
They can't put it together. It's just it feels like that's a selfish team right there. Like everybody's just kind of doing their own thing. And I think they've made some bad moves over the last year. And the last couple of years, they got rid of some guys I don't think they should have. But they did. And, I mean, that's neither here nor there now. But it's just and I don't think Lamar Jackson is as good as everybody thought he was going to be. I mean, because when he first was in the league, he was in that class that Mahomes was in. They were talking about them like battling out for like that.
Hmm.
Those were going to be the two guys. They were going to be the new Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady kind of thing. Um, but he falls short every year.
Yeah, but John knows how to win.
I
I
get
mean,
that. I'm not saying that's. I mean, because they have a good defense. They've always had a strong defense.
I'm not going to ask you if you think they'll win any, but is this a playoff team?
I mean, I could see him maybe getting. I could see him getting a wild card spot. I'm not going to take that away from him. They definitely have the possibility to.
But you won't bet on them to win that wild card
Yeah,
game.
I don't think they can
Yeah,
win a playoff game. I don't. It's hard for me to say yes.
right.
I do see that they have Beckham as one of their wide receivers now,
Yeah, they brought him back
but he
to
sat
try to
out a
make
year,
Lamar happy.
which I understand that was because injury. So I'll give him credit, and I know he wasn't injured that whole time. Maybe sitting out that year was the best thing he could have done for himself too, because I mean, the Rams just ate it last year, and so I understand that, but I haven't been impressed with the Ravens. I've always liked their defense. I've One of my favorite games to watch was the Steelers Ravens game. I loved watching the first Steelers Ravens game was always a game I prefer to watch.
Hmm.
I just I don't know, man. I'm not gonna. I say they can make the wild card, but I don't think they can make anything further than that. And I think they should move away from Jackson. I really do. I've been saying
I
that
think they
for
should move
years.
away from John.
You think so? You think that's the problem?
No, I don't say it's John knows how to win
Yeah.
regular season games. I think I don't know if it's his system now, but whatever he's doing, it's just not working. I think Lamar, like we're saying, he might. I'm not saying he's doing anything like horribly wrong, but the guy seems to be more trouble than he's worth. I don't even know what kind of trouble I'm talking about, to be honest, but it just seems
Yeah.
like he's a big distraction for this team. And
There's a big
if
problem with them
if they
last year.
just got out and got away from him and focused on football, John Harbaugh could probably get this team back to competing with Cleveland, maybe winning competing with Cincinnati as far as regular season winning the division goes.
Yeah.
I wouldn't bet on them to beat Cincinnati in a playoff game,
No.
or they'd probably split the season series at best. I don't think they could go to Cincinnati and win. Even John Harbaugh getting this team the way he wants it, win some playoff games, but not to Kansas City, not to Cincinnati, not to Buffalo. I would like to say not to Los Angeles, but I banked on them last year and they screwed me. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that this year. I'm staying away. I'm staying away from the West.
That elbow injury really messed up Stafford, man. It really did. Um.
No, the Chargers, but
Oh.
I was just talking AFC teams.
Oh, okay. Um. I
Yeah,
just,
the LA team they don't
I
want.
think what happened was, and Lamar said they hyped him up so much in the beginning. He didn't have like a real solid team, and they started giving him some players, but he was still in that mindset that he was the whole team. And then injury the second year, then he just wasn't performing that the third year. They had some trouble with him last year, and them trying to like negotiate the money and stuff like that. And I think that played into it. And I just feel like at this point, like you said, man, it's just there's animosity. I think in that organization, and I think it just kind of needs to be expelled. And so I'm not. It's almost like a start over, you know.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe for Lamar's career, he should go somewhere else and try to do it. You know, maybe he can do it some in another organization, but I feel
right.
it's toxic for both
Times.
sides of the
Yeah,
ball.
I agree with you. On to a team with very, very good potential, but also very, very high risk. Very, very good offensive weapons in Amari Cooper, David Njoku, Nick Chubb, one of the top running backs in the league.
Browns. Yeah, I was going to say he was the third one behind Derrick Henry and Jacobs. So I was going to say it might be like a true
Right.
workhorse, especially this year
Um,
with Hunt being gone.
yeah.
Chubb's
Yeah,
fine doing all three.
Miles Garrett on the defensive side of the ball.
You didn't even
Um,
say Donovan Peoples Jones, man. That guy was coming on last year.
He had
He
16
was.
sacks last year. No, you're right. You're right.
He was. I mean, he was getting a touchdown pretty much every game there for a good stretch.
Right. However, quarterback play was so bad. This team still
Well,
managed the losing season, finished 7-10. Um, they are.
and I know as bad as as much as like all that shady stuff happened with Watson last year, they've had a whole year to train together, and the dude was good.
And they have a good offensive line.
That's what I'm saying. I really do think they're going to make a big push this year. I was looking at their lineup before we got on, and I was like, man, like this could be Browns from like 2-3 years ago. You know, they could make a wild card spot with this
But
team.
but the thing, Watson has to be better than he was. I
Well,
mean,
he was great, and then he sat out for 12
no,
games. I mean,
yeah, 6 games. He only threw for just over 1,000 yards, threw 7 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 58% completion. Those are all career worst. I mean, even on average base per game. 6 games, you can't even give
eh.
me 1,200 yards
Did he
through
play
the
six
air.
games?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, he hadn't played. I mean, these guys that were playing. I mean, that was well over halfway through the season.
Look,
These guys,
I don't like him. I can't even believe I just said his name.
I know you. I mean,
I'm supposed to use
he's like Voldemort on this show.
uh,
He should not be
uh,
named just because of all that stuff that happened last year, which I still don't agree with how it happened. Because that guy's going to get paid this year, $48 million this year.
right.
Um, yeah, a lot, crazy money, man. And his contract was like what 200 and it's 210 or $216 million for 4
I
years.
can't wait till in a few years, you know, they finally found something in this whole money that was done illegally, and this franchise can
You're
be
never
held.
going to hear about it. That's going to get pushed under the table. Franchises run this league. I mean, they're not going to say anything.
They should be
It's
disbanded.
written in contract. The lawyers already check the contracts before they're signed.
Everybody who works for this organization should be fired and let go, and the league hire all new people.
It was shady. It was definitely shady.
Find a new owner. How hard can it be to find an owner?
Owners don't get swapped out unless there's
Well,
severe
this was shady.
allegations.
This
And then
was
what happens is
shady.
they sell it to their brother or something like that.
This whole thing is wrong. This whole thing is shady.
Yeah,
This
it's
is
super
bad.
shady.
This is
Very,
cooking
very
books,
shady what happened with
man.
that.
This is
You know,
cooking books out in the open.
but that being said, he was good in
Okay.
Houston.
Hold,
He propelled Houston to be better. He's
do you
had a
think?
whole
Do
year.
you think he can get to top 10 status? Because if he can be a top 10 quarterback, this is a pretty good offense.
It's a pretty good team. That's what I'm saying.
This
I
is
really think they can get
good.
that
This is
wild card spot.
very,
I don't think they can beat
very.
Cincinnati, but
Yeah. Oh no.
I definitely think they can manage a wild card spot.
Right.
I definitely think they can finish second in this division. If they come out and if he comes out and plays like he played in Houston, they have the potential. Chubb's a great, probably my favorite running back, in all honesty. And then, I liked Kareem Hunt, but I mean, they decided to go a different. I thought they were a great tandem. I thought that was probably the best tandem in the league.
Yeah.
But I mean, they went another way. I think Hunt's still a free agent, if I'm not mistaken. And so, there is a possibility, but I feel like if they were going to sign him, they would have already signed him. Maybe they're just trying to let him sweat a little bit so they can sign for a little less, but I doubt that because he was working 1-year contracts with them anyway, because they gave him a chance after all that stuff happened. But it's just like, the team's good. Their defense is solid. Myles Garrett's awesome. And Joku's. We'll see how that goes, man. I'm still in the air about. I know he's good, but he hasn't gotten to that level that I think he could potentially get to. And so I don't know, man. And I like Donovan Peoples-Jones. I really do. I think he's a sneaky good wide receiver. and I think people need to pay him more credit. So I do think this team has the ability to make a wild card spot for sure.
Yeah. All right. All right. The Pittsburgh Steelers last year, they finished 9-8. Won 6 of their final 7 games. Ended hot. Defense. Uh, they missed T.J. Watt for what, like 7 games, 7 of the first 8 games.
Yeah,
Uh, Defense ranked 10th in points, 11th in yards allowed. Um, so not too bad on the defense side of the ball, but that offense not not good. I mean, Najee Harris rushed for over 1,000 yards. That's what you want. Seven
yeah.
touchdowns, 3.8 yards per carry.
And for what they came into last year, people were expecting from the Steelers a whole new like transformation start over. Wasn't Trubisky throwing them the ball at the beginning of the year? I believe.
Yeah, because
And then Pickett took over.
Pickett played for.
And he looked pretty confident at the end of last year. He looked like he was managing the ball.
13 games.
Yeah.
He played 13 games.
But it took him like a little second to catch on, and then he was making some good passes. I thought Harris kind of played a little. He underperformed. I know he made those 1,000 yards, but I mean, coming into last year, he was like one of the top, if not the top running back from the previous year.
3.8 a carry.
I know, man. I know 3.8 a carry, but
That's not bad. That's not bad.
just eye test. I understand. I understand what's on the paper, but eye test would say that he wasn't as good as the year before. And I get it. More pressure was put on him because, I mean, they got rid of some of the guys. They got rid of Claypool, which I thought, I get it. He was kind of like arrogant, and that's not the organizations the Steelers are. And so I don't know if that's the reason they got rid of him, but I thought, that hurt them.
Now, I know they kept Pickett like, very rudimentary.
Yeah.
Of course, if they're going to progress, they're going to have to free him up a little bit.
Not necessarily. I think Tomlin's theory is that, you should kind of stay in the pocket. I mean, he's an old school coach. I mean, not saying that Roethlisberger
couldn't have the training wheels on him, dude.
Yeah, but I know.
Here's what you're doing.
Big Ben couldn't really run, but I mean, he couldn't really get tackled that well either. I mean, you need like 2 guys to tackle Roethlisberger. But I feel like
they're going to have to expand the playbook, though.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, but I always revert back to Alex Smith about just staying fundamental, man. The dude knew how to limit his interceptions. I mean, he almost went that. I think he went that whole year.
He took care of the ball better than any quarterback I can remember.
He wasn't super flashy, but I mean, sometimes that's not what
he wasn't turning the ball over though.
He didn't turn the ball over.
You can have quite a bit of 3.
Yeah, you can throw me a 6-yard touchdowns, but then if you throw 2 interceptions after that, what does that really even mean?
But Alex Smith ain't doing that.
He's not throwing those 50-yard touchdowns. No, he's not.
No, he's not throwing those interceptions.
But he's not throwing the interceptions. He's definitely not. I mean,
But he ain't tucking the ball downfield for that game-winning play either.
No, because I think like the second year before he retired, it took them like how many? He didn't throw a single passing touchdown until like game 14 or something like that. Something crazy. But I think, as far as like Pickett's concerned, hey, they're trying to grow him into an organization that was already like a pretty stout organization,
And they brought him Allen Robinson,
which I saw.
He's a vet. He's been around the league. He's been in multiple systems, so he knows how to adapt. So if he and Pickett can get on the page and they can become buds, he can offer a lot to Pickett and Najee in
as far as
of knowledge that he
definitely
has.
I kind of feel like Allen Robinson's kind of like a Brandon Marshall.
Not quite what
Not quite
So,
what he was,
and the
but
only
he's got the ability to, like you said, he's a seasoned veteran. He can definitely add to that wealth of knowledge, like you said. It's just like you're not going to get those huge flash plays anymore. I think you're just going to get that solid, kind of what you need for a Pickett. Those 10, 50, just moving the ball down the field. I mean, that's all we need to do is move the ball down the field. And honestly, the more time your offense is on the field making those little chunk plays, the longer their defense is getting tired on that field too. So, I mean, that's also a strategy as well. And I understand your offense is getting tired, but
hmm
defenses get tired faster than offenses do. I mean,
yeah.
that's just the way it goes.
All right.
Uh,
Well, we talked a little bit about these teams. Before we wrap this up, let's wrap this up with win totals, man. Cincinnati Bengals last year when they scored over 21 points, 11-0, 1-4 when they failed to score 21 points. We went over these weapons. Is this an 11.5 win team?
yeah, I'd say over
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. The Baltimore Ravens over what? Since Lamar Jackson was drafted, they finished under 500 once. They've won an average of 10 over 10 and a half games. Do you think the Ravens are a 10-win team?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Ravens can pull off 10 wins. I've got to give them the credit. I do think they can win regular season games. They can. It just always seems like at the end of the season, there's always a big hubbub with them.
Mhm. Yeah. But they always seem to win games, but they like you wouldn't know it.
No, not
Like
by the way they handle everything. No.
yeah, by the way it seems like things are going for Baltimore, like you would not think that this team's winning 10 games.
Yeah.
But they win. All right. In the past 15 seasons, only one time the
Yeah,
Browns have won more than 8 games
I
by.
know. That was the season they went to the playoffs.
Is this a 9-win team?
I think so. I think they're over.
Oh,
I think they could pull off 10 plus wins, really.
oh man. So, dude, Vegas ain't gonna take your money, man. It ain't. All right. And for the last one, 16 years, Mike Tomlin has been the head coach of these Pittsburgh Steelers. He has never finished below 500.
I
So
know. I was worried
I,
here.
I
I was
don't,
worried.
I don't even understand then. This isn't a question, but we got to ask because this is the over under 8.5. Is this a
Oh,
500 team?
yeah, you got to go over. You
Is
got to
this
give
a
Tomlin his due.
500
He's one of the
team?
best coaches in the NFL, man. He's a solid dude. And like you said, he's never had a losing season. Never in his whole career.
So not 9 games, man. Gotta
Uh,
get 9. That
I
it,
think that they have the potential to do it. Pickett's a year better. Harris is probably eager to prove himself again because last year, I mean, yeah, 1,000 yards, but I think he should have gotten well over that. I mean, he was churning and burning the year before that.
right? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, I mean, that wraps it up pretty much here for the the AFC North. We like them Bengals. Lots of prospect for these teams in the division, man. It could be
Oh,
a
definitely.
very interesting season depending on Pickett's progression. Can the quarterback for that team in Cleveland get into like the top 10 area at quarterback? Because, like we said,
It all depends on that.
that's a team that could win a game. Donnie, thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Brett. Thanks for having me on.
AFC
I
this
appreciate
week,
you.
AFC North. Next week, we will cover something else.
I was going
No.
to back with football knowledge.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll discuss. We'll let you people at home know what we'll be talking about. so you can message us and give us little tidbits and little things that you would like answered, and we'll get it covered for you guys. And then, of course, more NFL news. As always, we'll probably take a look at some training camps, um, and how they've been going for some teams, and just waiting anticipation for kickoff. But from me, from Donnie, thank you all
Y'all have a
for
good one.
tuning in, for watching, supporting. We appreciate it so much. We will see y'all next week. Take care.